Hey, Whippersnaps, this is Tortimer the Great. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Pokemon Crystal Wed'locke, Heptath'locke Season 2. Today, we are picking up where we left off last time, pretty much exactly, where we have defeated the Elite Four and set a number of our teammates into the Hall of Fame, and now we have been come back home for a little bit of rest and relaxation, although I have a feeling we're going to be moving on pretty quickly today. In fact, there we go. Professor Elm. Hello, Tort. I have something here for you. Could you swing by my lab? See you later. Alright, so we're going to quickly swing by Professor Elm's lab, and what we're actually going to be doing today is we're going to be journeying further into Kanto and going to be taking on the Kanto gym leaders. Kind of similar to how we handled it in the Hexath'locke Season 3. We're basically going to spend about 2 episodes montaging through the Kanto gym leaders. We're not really going to do any exploration of Kanto. We're not going to really do any catches together, although I might do some catching. I don't know. It just depends on what we kind of run up against. But generally speaking, we're going to do 4 gyms today. We're gonna hit. I don't know which ones exactly. I think we pop in to Kanto in Vermilion, so probably. Like, we'll do Vermilion City and maybe Cerulean, and it just kind of depend on which 4 happen to pop up first. I don't honestly remember, but we are going to go ahead and give those a shot. Now, I was not paying attention in the slightest when Elm was just talking. I believe that here in Olivine is where we're going to pick up as a hand. We'll check that out here. Yes, it's looking right. Welcome to the fast ship SS Aqua. Will you be boarding today? Yes, we will. I see your SS ticket. Tort flash the SS ticket. That's it. Thank you. Alright, we're departing soon. Please get on board. Alrighty, guys. We have arrived in Vermilion City after a long and arduous journey. We had to track down some guy's granddaughter, and we had to find some lazy sailors, but we eventually made our way from Johto back into Kanto, and we are going to start off here. And just gonna kind of take care of this gym. We're actually, I didn't do grinding, but in the battling, everybody but Clementine made their way up to level 47. And since Churchill and Clementine are probably the 2 we want to use for the electric gym anyway, that's just gonna kind of work out. I do want you guys to kind of let me know in the comments what you would like to see in terms of other couples being used. Because obviously the 6 Pokemon we have on our team right now are already members of the Hall of Fame. There's not really anything that we need to do at this point to get them into our transfer pool. They're already securely there, assuming they stay alive. But Pokemon like Napoleon or Josephine or Aragorn and Penelope, or some of these other Pokemon that we've used, have not been quite as lucky as of yet. So that just means we, if we want to see those Pokemon going into future generations or future seasons, we will need to make sure that they're part of the red team, and so we'll want to be using them throughout the course of this season. Now, right now, obviously, we just have the same Pokemon. We really haven't even had the opportunity to hit a Pokemon Center since we got kind of all of this going, but, alright, Churchill. Buddy old pal, there we go. Kill the Magnemite, please, thank you. Not much Clementine could do to Magnemite, so we got her out of there. Hopefully he's got a Voltorb or something. Magnemite again, we'll stay in on that. But yeah, so I mean, if we're going to, especially if we're going to be using, like a new couple, I have had thoughts of potentially getting Aang out of the box and finding a mate for him, because I think a Dragonite could be a lot of fun to use. But I don't want to do that and have him be part of the transfer pool if, like, we never see him. So, probably, maybe by the time we get into the next gym... it was a bubble. I didn't even pay attention to what was happening there. Maybe by the time we get into the next gym, I will have pulled out some new Pokemon and things like that. But for the purposes of this gym, since we just kind of first set foot, and we kind of already had Pokemon on our team that could handle it, obviously Napoleon and Josephine could handle it as well. But since we already had Pokemon, we'll do this, and then I'll switch things around for the next gym. I'm about to use Magnemite. Let's just kind of see, just for the sake of argument, since we'll probably see more Magnemites in this gym, let's see what a Fanny-Tack could do. I know in this generation that Steel resists Dark. It still does pretty good, though. Clementine can easily handle this. We are a little over leveled for some of the gym leaders, but they're all kind of in the high 30s, low 40s range. So for the most part, the gym leaders themselves will not be. It won't be too much of an easy cakewalk. But I think this will work out pretty nicely. Clementine and Churchill handling things very well. Guitarist Vincent is defeated. We got this guy coming now, and then we'll be able to take on Lieutenant Surge's trash puzzle and get into him, assuming that it's actually active right now. I can't really remember. Clementine comes in. Let's get a Confuse Ray going. Here we go. Electrode became confused. Electrode is confused. Hurt itself in confusion. Fantastic. Faint attack. See what that'll do for us. Ooh, pretty good, pretty good. Electrode is confused, hurt itself in confusion. Very close. Quick attack finishes off the Electrode. Clementine's got pretty good defenses, so I'm not super worried about an explosion or something, but I guess I'm always kind of worried about an explosion or something, if I'm being honest. But yeah, so getting into Kanto today, pretty excited about this. Just kind of, especially because all these gym leaders are going to be pretty good battles. I think it'll be fun. One thing I did want to talk to you guys. I think I started talking about it briefly at the end of last episode. And it was kind of something I wanted to talk about last episode, and then I never really got around to it. Was I've been thinking a lot about Gen 8 lately, especially because I was kind of thinking about this series going forward a little bit. While I was on my trip to Ireland, just because I couldn't actually play it, so I was giving some things some thought, and at one point I realized, so kind of a similar situation where we ended up with the Hexath'locke, where Gen 7 had, Gen 7 was just coming out as we were wrapping up Season 6 of the Hexath'locke. I was like, well, at that point, I was like, well, you know what? It's been a Hexath'locke, which is a 6-series event challenge. I don't really want to now include Gen 7 in it. We're kind of in a similar situation here, where by the time we get anywhere near done with this season, or this series, Gen 8's probably going to be out on the Switch. That's expected sometime next year, probably, I would guess, since a lot of these games are coming out kind of end of the year, October, November timeframe. Probably holidays next year, we're going to have Gen 8 of Pokemon. So, what that means is that probably we really should be considering this as an Heptath'locke, or whatever the proper terminology would be there. Probably an Heptath'locke. So we kind of need to consider, okay, so are we going to include that? If we are, what kind of run would we want to do on that? And things like that. But as I'm thinking about, as I start thinking through these things myself, I'm like, well, what are we even expecting from Gen 8? Do we expect that it's just going to be, basically Pokemon Sun and Moon, but on a different engine, different platform? Do we, because it seems like they've made changes to the game as we've gone along. Obviously, there's been huge graphical changes. So do we expect basically just graphical changes going into Gen 8? Or do we think that they'll, they started playing with the formula of Pokemon a little bit when we went into Pokemon Sumo? And so, do we expect, as the Pokemon consuming public, that essentially that's all we'll really be able to expect? That maybe like with Pokken, they've got much more detailed graphics for their models and stuff in Pokken. So do we expect that maybe they'll just do that, and it'll be a little bit more because they've got a more powerful engine? Because even with Pokemon Sun and Moon, my 3DS, which is obviously an older generation 3DS, could barely handle it. It was built more towards the power of the newer generations of 3DSs, which apparently had more power. Okay, so yeah, we don't have to do any kind of thing here. Let's run back and heal real quick. So essentially, the 3DSs currently could barely handle it. So do we expect, that this is going to be a beefier, more graphically intensive sort of game? Or one thing is I'm thinking is, especially now, I don't know if this is a pretty recent development. Now, by the time you guys see this episode, it won't be quite as recent of a development, but one of the things that I've always really loved about the Pixelmon mod, which is the Pokemon mod for Minecraft, was it kind of gave us the Pokemon MMO experience that we've always wanted, or that at least I've always wanted, where you kind of wander around the world, you can run into other trainers. Pokemon are kind of wandering around in the overworld, because obviously them just hiding in tall grass makes no sense. If you're in a more open world kind of environment, you would actually be able to see those Pokemon for a large part. You might have an Ekans hiding in the grass or something, but for the most part, you're going to see these Pokemon wandering around. And so Pixelmon was always kind of that experience for me. I always kind of go back to my time where I was playing WoW, and you're kind of in this open world. There's all these creatures and monsters wandering around in the overworld, things like that. I was a hunter, so you got to collect pets, and a hunter always had a pet who would kind of be the melee component because the hunter was always the range component. So you had these anyway. It was kind of Pokemon-esque, and so I've always, since my time with WoW, always wanted to see a version of Pokemon that was kind of like that. And Pixelmon ended up being that, but recently Nintendo did end up throwing out the cease and desist at Pixelmon. They've done that with a lot of fan-made games in the past. But eventually here they've decided, okay, Pixelmon is encroaching. They finally had their lawyers, ooh, nice hit, Clementine. They finally had their lawyers send the letters over, and so Pixelmon mod, which has been a mod that's been in development for years and years and years, and has been a very well-developed mod, Nintendo has shut it down. They took most of the download links off their site. They're not going to be doing any development on it going forward. Things like that, which is really kind of sad to see, because it was really filling a niche where Pokemon itself has never really gotten close to filling. That kind of MMO, open world, more immersive kind of experience. I think for those of us who already have the mods downloaded and everything like that, I don't think there's anything that would keep us from being able to continue playing the mods. But in terms of continuing development, okay, yeah, she can take those explosions, that's kind of good to know. But in terms of like continuing development and just, you know, availability for newcomers, Pixelmon is being taken off the table. We are going to change Pokemon here just to get Churchill out for the Magneton. But that got me thinking, like, is Nintendo making moves on that now? Because potentially Gen 8 is going to start stepping into some of these realms where, you know, they've got the processing power to maybe do more with the overworld. And so it's going to become a more immersive experience. You know, you're going to wander into an area and, you know, you actually see maybe a Kangaskhan hanging over in the tall grass or something like that. That would really be a big shakeup if you think about it for the Pokemon world, because so much of it is about random chance and encounter rates and things like that, which Pixelmon, being a... Electabuzz. Clementine could have come in on that. But so much of it is about that random chance, and like with Pixelmon, they've taken those into account. Like, you know, you can restrict Pokemon to a certain thing, and certain Pokemon only spawn with certain rates and things like that. Like, you can do it, but it's a totally different experience when you can just wander around and, like, see the Pokemon flying around above you, and you can, like, see that Wingull go, and you can go catch it, sort of thing. Like, I really... It's going to be a whole... Okay, so Electrode, Torch Change Pokemon. Yeah, let's go ahead and get Churchill, or Clementine back out. So my thoughts are, do we expect just better graphics? Do we think that maybe we'll get lucky and there will be some sort of shakeup with the Pokemon games again, kind of how they try to do with the basic gym formula and things like that with Gen 8? Do we expect there will be more shakeups? Maybe that, you know, Nintendo's never really been good about the online stuff, so I don't know that I really would expect a full-blown MMO sort of thing where, you know, people are going to be able, like, you know, me and you guys could meet up and, like, hey, I'm going to go to Goldenrod, and we would just be able to do that sort of thing. Electrode's confused no more. Okay. Clementine takes it. Fantastic. But yeah, so those are just some of the thoughts I'm starting to have about Gen 8. Like, I would love to see, like, a WoW sort of thing where it's just an open world, and people are just there, and it's not weird, but we're all just kind of in the same place together. They could set up Team Rocket, things like Clementine can't learn Walk Road. Yeah, we'll learn Screech. It's better than Tail Whip. But like you know, places like Silphco or wherever, you know, the evil team layers becomes like a raid sort of thing, and you can team up with people and go through it. Like, some of that stuff would be so cool, and I'm just wondering, now that we've got the better processing power, is that something that we can reasonably expect? So I'd love to hear about in the comments down below what you guys are kind of thinking, or just like in your wildest dreams, what would you want to see now that, you know, Pokemon's heading to a more powerful system? It can really do almost anything potentially. What would you guys like to see? Anyway, let's jump into the next gym, shall we? Here we go. Alrighty guys, here we are in Saffron City, prepping to take care of Sabrina. But before we do that, actually, we've got, you guys can see in the sidebar, we've got some old familiar faces on the team, and one of them is finally able and ready to achieve her final form. So, Josephine, without further ado, I did some grinding with pretty much everybody prior to the Elite Four, and so her and Napoleon were kind of up to level in case I needed them at some point, and so she learned Petal Dance, and I wanted to wait until we were all together to go ahead and do her evolution. So there we go. Josephine has finally evolved into the Blossom we all knew she could be. Now, I've got Napoleon and Josephine up front. They're not really the best for this, necessarily, but I think they'll be fine for now. And we do have Clementine and Churchill. If we get into a point where we're like, they're not doing real well against the trainers, and I don't really trust them to take on Sabrina herself, then we will we'll just let Clementine do it, because Clementine will be able to handle it with no trouble. Medium Rebecca has sent out Drowsy. Alright, Napoleon's going to come in. Drowsies are a lot of work, so we're going to go ahead and just kill it. Hopefully. Maybe? Yes! Drowsy goes down. Now Josephine is not weak. About to send in Hypno. Yeah, let's just see. No, Josephine is not weak to Psychic anymore, now that she is just a pure Grass type, no longer Poison. So let's go ahead and see what we got. We've got the Sleep Powder. Let's do that. Hypno fell asleep. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and throw up. In fact, we need to switch some of this stuff around. There we go. Let's throw up the Petal Dance. I haven't really gotten to use this a whole lot since I got her evolved. I guess a little bit. We did a couple levels afterwards, but it's grinding just kind of flies by. You don't really think about it too much. But you guys certainly haven't seen it, and since we waited for it for so long, there she goes. She takes down the Hypno. I think they're doing okay. And nobody on my team is weak to the Psychic types right now. Or nobody on this couple, at least. Well, nobody on the team is either. In fact, Churchill and Clementine, both Clementine's immune and Churchill resists. They really are the best bet for in here, but I figured, well, why not? Let's get some familiar faces out of the box. As I said, we're kind of wanting to make sure that those Pokemon... I definitely am going to be bringing Napoleon and Josephine into the Red Battle, if only so that they can make it into the... If only so they can make it into the transfer pool, because we did use them pretty consistently throughout the course of this series, or this season, and so I don't want them shortchanged. And since I said either or for the Red Battle, definitely I want them to be a part of it. So they will be coming. I do have thoughts on, I'm about to use Execute. Yeah, let's go ahead and switch. I do have thoughts on, as I said, another couple I might want to make. I do want to get Aang in action at some point, and I think we might have an interesting teammate that we can potentially use with Aang, but we'll have to hopefully catch it, and we might be doing that this episode. My plan, looking at how the area is going to kind of lay out, it's probably going to be, so we did Vermilion, we're doing Saffron right now. Probably Cerulean and Celadon are going to be the other two gyms we fit in today, so that'll probably be that'll probably work out. I guess what I'm trying to do is I would like to, if possible, catch a female Houndour in just outside of Celadon, and be able to pair that up with Aang, because she would be able to, at the very least, cover his ice weakness. And that would make it a little bit easier for us to use Aang as a cover, being able to switch in to Houndoom for that. So that's kind of my goal. We can catch those just outside Celadon, and since Celadon is the grass gym, that might be a fun time to introduce them. So maybe even by the end of this episode, we will have an awesome new couple put together that we could potentially use going into the rest of the season, which is only going to be another 2 episodes after this one. But hey, we'll make it work. Alright, Slowpoke comes out. Napoleon's going to switch out as well. Thankfully, Josephine is no longer poison type, so I don't have any fears about making switches like this. Josephine, if I actually was watching a video, I don't know if any of you guys watch him, but I occasionally catch his videos, Pokemon, or Pokemon, or what, Pokemon? I don't know, something like that on YouTube. And he recently saw a video I showed up in my recommendeds, was the worst Pokemon evolutions of all time, which basically just looked at the Pokemon that basically got terrible stat boosts from evolving. And one of the ones that they actually did list was Blossom, because Vileplume is really just better in every way. But they have basically the same stats, but Josephine, or Blossom, is more defensive, while Vileplume is a little more attacking. I think their attack and defense stats get switched. Kind of like with Slowbro and Slowking, I guess their special and physical defenses get switched. Things like that. But Vileplume has a much better defensive typing with the poison than Blossom. And, ooh, okay, we're already here with Sabrina. Now, these two have handled it pretty well, so I'm actually going to go ahead and just let them do it. So I do happen to know that that Blossoms are a little bit more defensive than their Vileplume counterparts, even though their typing does not necessarily fit that super well. Alrighty, so Sabrina is here. I knew you were coming. 3 years ago I had a vision of your arrival. You're after my badge.
I don't enjoy battling, but it's my duty as a leader to confer badges on anyone who has proven him or herself worthy. So if you wish it, I will show you my psychic powers.
Psychic, I don't know what happened there. Started saying physics, I guess. My physics powers. The leader Sabrina wants to battle. She's only got 3 Pokemon. She sends out an Espeon. Alright, Napoleon is still up. Guess let's just do it, right? My guess is she also has an Alakazam. Yes, missed that. Surf to Surf. Psychic will land. I trust Napoleon's defenses to handle that. No, didn't handle that as well as I would have hoped. We'll definitely need to heal him before his next encounter. Alright, Napoleon grew to level 46. Leader Sabrina is about to use Mr. Mime. Will torture you. Yes. Okay, so let's bring Josephine in. And we'll put Mr. Mime to sleep, and we'll take that opportunity to heal Napoleon. Let's go ahead and put Sleep Powder going. His defense went way up, but he's going to go to sleep. I don't know if Barrier wears off, but we'll just kind of see how this plays out. Super Potion... Well, we got tons of Hyper Potions from the Elite Four still. Let's use that, because, yeah, Super Potion wouldn't get us where we need to be. Alright, looks good. Mr. Mime is fast asleep. Now, let's go ahead and Petal Dance it, shall we? Why not? His defenses went way up. Grass, I guess, is special, though, so it doesn't really matter. I think Petal Dance is physical once you get the physical special split, but at this point in time, at least, it's that's not a thing. So Josephine can just kind of whip through Mr. Mime and make it good. Okay, certainly now Alakazam. Yes. I'm gonna stay in, honestly. A little concerned with how poorly... I mean, obviously he was still above half, but how poorly that Napoleon took the Psychic from the Espeon. I don't know that I can trust that he'll be... Okay. Josephine's confused. Yes, okay, so she got the Sleep Powder up at least. Alright, beautiful. Now... Okay, yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Let's bring Napoleon in. He will survive a hit, I would imagine, but let's go ahead and get Earthquake going. Alakazam is pretty frail, so I trust that this might even be a one-shot if we get real lucky. Ooh, very, very close. Ice Punch. Ooh, Hyper Potion. Okay. He's still asleep, though. She didn't have the full restore. There we go, and... Ooh, he wakes up. I trust that Napoleon can survive this. There he is. Beautiful. Just a little close to half there, but that's alright, because that's the last Pokemon, and we're good to go. Beauty! Alright, so down goes Sabrina. Fantastic. Alright, I guess we received the March Badge. I guess we'll see you guys in Cerulean, I think is the next one. So we'll see you guys when we're taking on Misty. Alrighty guys, here we are in Misty's gym in Cerulean City. Took me a little while to to get through here. We had to go to the power plant and find some parts and do all this other stuff. Get through the Nugget Bridge. There's a lot of stuff that we've got to take care of, so we're not really just popping in and out of the gym. So I'm actually recording this. I started recording it this morning before work, and now I'm recording the rest of this in the evening. We do have Josephine still with us because besides Fiber, she's really kind of the best bet, and we've seen a lot of Fiber over the last 2 seasons. So I figured, why not? Let's let some other Pokemon shine here a bit, especially since we haven't gotten to see Josephine as a Blossom very much at all, given that she evolved this episode. So I figured that would work out and nobody would be all that upset. So she's going to throw up and KO all of these Water-type Pokemon with her Petal Dance, and that's working out quite nice for us there, actually, so that works out very well. We do have Aragorn and Penelope with us. I'm not sure if they were with us prior to the break or not. No, I don't think they would have been. Anyway, I don't remember. Because we were just in Sabrina's gym, weren't we? So probably wouldn't have been pulling out the fighting type Pokemon for that. So probably are just now showing up. It is evening though, so my plan will actually work out pretty well. After this battle, we're gonna stand because I wasn't paying attention. After this battle, we are gonna head over towards Celadon, and that'll be our final gym battle. That'll get us our 4 Kanto gym badges that we wanted to hit for today, and that'll be our final gym battle for the day. But it also gives us access. Celadon City at night gives us access to the Houndour that I wanted to get and potentially pair up with Aang, our Dratini. Our Datrini? I wasn't paying attention once again. Seadra. Alright. Not super worried about coverage moves coming off of Pokemon in these generations, so Josephine easily handling the Horsey family there. But yeah, so I'm curious, and obviously you guys, you've had an opportunity to potentially comment. I haven't really gotten to see them, but I've just been thinking more and more about the potential for things that we could get in Gen 8, and like, you know, I would be really excited for a kind of shakeup of the formula like I talked about, making it more of like an open world kind of immersive experience where like the Pokemon are visible and like you can see the wild Pokemon wandering around as opposed to everything being hidden in grass and things like that. Kind of more like, you know, Pixelmon does, or you know, even open world games like, you know, World of Warcraft, things like that. But even beyond that, like thinking, okay, so I've been watching some stuff, you know, people predicting, you know, what Mega Evolutions or Alola forms or stuff might we get in Gen 8, and man, she's just kind of doing the thing, right? So we're just gonna kind of keep going. And it's kind of sad because Game Freak has kind of a track record of introducing a lot of stuff, new things in a generation, but half of it's really gimmicky and nobody's sorry to see it go. But then there is always a couple of things that they add, like most people ended up taking to Mega Evolution. Now, I still think in theory, like I'm not a huge fan of the concept necessarily, but it was a cool mechanic for revitalizing the use of some otherwise not overly used Pokemon. So in theory, I like the reasoning behind it. I wasn't as big a fan of Mega Evolution when it first happened. When I first saw it, I was like, okay, that's stupid. But it's something that ended up being kind of cool, and I would like to see Mega Evolutions of some other Pokemon. Like, I was watching a video this afternoon, they're predicting, you know, what might Mega Evolutions of the Sinnoh starters look like, sort of thing. And I would love to see that. Ooh. Okay, Ice does not resist Grass. Uh-oh, Perish Song. Both Pokemon will faint in 2 turns. Okay, not ideal. Okay, no, I need to get Josephine out of here. Let's go ahead and switch. I think switching out should fix that. But otherwise we'll have to finish this battle in. Yeah, it just said it's okay. So let's Earthquake here. Napoleon can finish off the Lapras. Lapras, your Perish count was much lower than 2 there. But Josephine should be safe. I was about to use Quagsire. Will Torch change Pokemon? Yes. Let's bring Josephine back out. I'm imagining having switched out her Perish count is removed, and we'll assume that that's true. I don't want to lock into Petal Dance and then be stuck in for 3 turns and never die. But she should be fine. But anyway, I'd love to see Mega Evolutions of some other Pokemon, but moving into Gen 7, we didn't get any Mega Evolutions. Mega Evolution wasn't really, I mean, it was a thing, they existed, but it wasn't, we didn't get anything new. Yeah, we'll stay in. In the same way they introduced Alolan forms. Now, I hope that the gimmick... Oh no. Okay, Josephine, finish her off here. I mean, I'm hoping that the gimmicky thing that they added that disappears forever is the Z Crystal thing, because I really did not like Z Crystals. I thought that was a really stupid mechanic. But, I worry that we'll never see Alolan forms after Gen 7, and I would really like to see that continue into Gen 8. So some of that kind of stuff, not even just, like, Alolan forms obviously won't be a thing, but region-specific forms is something that I've always thought, like, in a game based on evolution, that's really the only real form of evolution we've ever actually seen in the Pokemon games, and it's kind of the way that the world actually works. Like, you've got rats and like, you've got creatures that, you know, they're the same species basically, but they've adapted to their different environments, and so that's kind of a really cool thing I'd love to see going forward in Pokemon. Just that's already existed in the game, and I just hope they don't abandon it as they seem to do with a lot of other cool things. But I will see you guys when we hit Celadon, and we might have a new couple with us, so we'll just kind of see. Here we go! Oh my gosh. Like 3 days later, here we are to take on the Celadon City Gym. Starting off, okay, so let me introduce you to our newest teammate, Bonnie. We got very lucky. It almost didn't happen, but we did end up catching Bonnie, the Houndour, on Route 7 outside of Celadon. We got very lucky with some dupes and gender clauses happening. We ran into a couple of Jigglypuffs, which triggered the Dupes Clause. we ran into several Pokemon that wouldn't have triggered the Dupes Clause. That would have been our first counter if they hadn't been male, but I did have Aang with me, so that allowed us to trigger the Gender Clause, and pretty much we got very, very lucky. But Bonnie did show up. Bonnie coming from the list from Bonnie and Clyde. It's a name that I've generally used in the past for female crocodiles, and it seemed fitting for her as well. I was going to name her Cleopatra, but because I thought that was a good name that was been on the list for a long time as well. But unfortunately, we had a Nidoran female in Season 1, last season in the Dice Lock when we were in through Pokemon Yellow, who we had named Cleopatra, and it just didn't seem right to reuse that name so willy-nilly, because she was a good member of our team up through until I think after the second badge, and then she went down valiantly. So it felt like we didn't want to reuse that. So Bonnie the Houndoom is here. Did a lot of grinding, but she and Aang are now level 45. Both of them have evolved since then. But we're doing mostly post-game stuff here, so I didn't really feel like I needed to bring you guys in for all that. It was just grinding. And so those two are there. And then we do have Aragorn and Penelope with us as well. Ruby is here because we needed to cut to get into this gym, and so yeah, you guys are all caught up. Let's go ahead and jump in here. We'll show you moves of the Arcana. I don't anticipate a whole lot of issue in this gym. I did take a look at Celadon City Mart to see if there was any useful TMs we could potentially use. There wasn't. There wasn't. The only thing that even looked potentially useful was Sunny Day was in there. Which might be something we add to Bonnie at some point, but I don't know if we're going to need it. Maybe something we use and add for, like, the red battle. Get rid of the hail condition, at least. That would save us from, like, a blizzard on the Blastoise or something. But for now, we're just gonna hold off. Tortimer Pokemon, no, we're gonna let Bonnie go ahead and do these first couple. But she'll be a useful member for going with Aang, because she can resist the ice moves that are really his main concern, and then she'll be neutral to things like dragon and other stuff like that, which we aren't really going to be coming up against a whole lot of dragon stuff, but she has that as well. So definitely she covers his ice weakness, and Houndour Houndoom is a Pokemon I really wanted to use in the second generation. It's one of my favorite Pokemon from the second generation, and they weren't even available till over here in Kanto, so I'm a little sad that it took us this long to get one, but I am very happy that the Nuzlocke gods spoke and we were able to actually land one as our catch, because rJgsTZ was definitely pulling for us on that one. We got very, very lucky with the Dupes Clause and Gender Clause getting triggered, letting us get, because it took me like 5 or 6 encounters to actually find Bonnie, so we got a little lucky there. But yeah, she's perfectly suited for taking on this gym. We will, after this battle, we'll pull Aang out, and he can help out as well. I'm looking forward to Aang evolving, because I know at least in later generations, Dragonite can learn the elemental punches, which means we can pop back to Goldenrod and pick up a handful of those to give Dragonite some decent coverage. In fact, let's go ahead and switch Aang in now. You guys haven't really seen Aang battle either, so we'll let Bonnie and him share some screen time here. Let's go for the extreme speed. Oh yeah, there we go. Aang doing work. Les Michelle is about to use Jump Pluff. We'll torch change Pokemon. Nope, we'll let Aang finish it off. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of grinding. It was a lot of grinding, but it was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed getting to use Pokemon that I don't really get to use very frequently, which was the Houndour and the Houndoom, and I haven't raised a lot of Dragonites or the Dragonite line in game before, so that was something that was a fun experience for me as well. Obviously slow going, but we may or may not have popped back and forth to some higher level areas. We weren't necessarily just grinding on Route 7 or anything like that. We definitely made it a little easier on ourselves by heading back to Johto a little bit and doing some of those higher level areas by Victory Road, etc. Alright, let's go for the slam here. It's Paris, we should be able to handle it. There it goes. Down it goes. Alright, Julie's about to use Execute. We'll torch change Pokemon. Well, we'll let Aang handle this, because I have a feeling we're just going to use Bonnie for Erica, and that'll make things a little easier for us. But yeah, I hope you guys will forgive that this is probably going to be a little bit of a longer episode. That all of these are probably going to be a little bit longer episodes, these next couple, because, or at least this one and the next one, because we've got a lot to kind of cram in here, and I don't really want to stretch out this section of the game too much, but I did want you guys to at least experience the interesting portions of us here as we are just kind of finishing off the gyms on this side. We've already kind of fought all these gyms with the exception of, the Poison Gym. It has got a new gym leader since the last time we were in Kanto, but beyond that, we're just kind of getting some good battles out of this. Alright, yeah, she doesn't have any maze or anything like that. Let's go ahead and switch Bonnie back up front, and we'll get this thing going here. Oh, I am dreading. So, like, even all the good battles that I've been doing, everybody's pretty much still, like, 50 or under. And Red's Pokemon are like, his Pikachu is like over 80, I think, and the rest of them are in the high 70s or something like that, if I remember correctly. So it's gonna be, I'm gonna probably like run through the Elite Four a dozen times trying to grind up for that battle, because that's gonna take forever. Leader Erica is about to use Blossom. We'll stay in for Blossom. No reason why Bonnie can't just kind of burn this place down. But yeah, so we accomplished a lot today. As soon as this battle's over, we will have gotten half of the Kanto gym badges. We'll have caught a new teammate in Bonnie, and gotten several evolutions, one of at least of which you guys actually got to see, which was at the beginning of the episode, Josephine evolved. That feels like forever ago now. Well, for me, it has been forever ago. This is like 5 days later. But yeah, it's been a fun episode. It's been a fun episode. I like these kind of end of the game episodes on this particular region, because it's just kind of nice and chill, just popping around Kanto, beating people up. It's fun. Usually I wouldn't add a new team member this late in the game, but there was only one other Pokemon that I thought would be interesting to add with Aang, and that was Buttercup or Miltank. I thought that might be interesting, but we already kind of have Luna. I didn't really need another powerful I don't know. I thought it would be fun if we were able to get Bonnie to do that, and so that's what we did. I felt inspired. Please, I wish you to have this TM. It's Giga Drain. I guess we could have used that for Josephine as well. I wonder if anybody else can learn that. Giga Drain could be good, useful coverage for somebody. I doubt anybody else can, just given the generation we're in, but, yeah, anyway, I'll worry about all that stuff later. But yeah, there we go. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Tortimer the Great, and you guys have been great. We now have 4 of the 8 Kanto gym badges, and a new couple to boot. So, there we go. Evolutions and catches and new couples and lots of badges. An overall very full episode. So yeah, come back next time as we start talking about starters for next season, and finish off the Kanto League by getting the rest of the badges. And then we'll be taking on Red the episode after that, where we start talking about transfers once we know who survives Red's battle. So a lot of exciting discussions to have in the upcoming weeks. I hope you guys will come back and join me for them. I've really enjoyed this series a lot, and I'm very much looking forward to the next one, whenever that will be. So make sure you guys pop in and say what you guys want to say on those. And yeah, I've been Tortimer the Great, and you guys have been great. Make sure those likes, comments, subscriptions for me, guys. And make sure you let me know what your thoughts are on Gen 8. What kind of hopes or dreams you have in regards to the upcoming generation of Pokemon on the Nintendo Switch next year. Alrighty, guys. Have a good one.